This lesson is going to be a continuation of where we left off with the drawing file for the CASTER assembly in details. So to continue on with this, looking at the front view of our assembly, I do need to show a center line that's traveling through the wheel here. So the easiest way to do that is to go up to Annotate and select Center Mark and select the most or the greatest diameter circle here in the wheel, like that. All right, so we're just adding a centerline annotation here. We're not going to add any in the sectional assembly because this, in theory, has been cut along this cutting direction here, and these cylindrical parts are no longer round, so we're going to be leaving them looking just like they are right here. So moving on, we're going to want to keep all of these cylindrical items in one location. So I'm going to be wanting to keep the bushing and the shaft and the post in one spot. So I'm going to want to keep them in this section right here. So what we're going to do is go to File, we're going to go to Open, and I'm going to start with the bushing. I'm going to go to Open. I'm going to go back to my CASTER file, select Place Views, Base View. Now, this wants to bring this in at a scale of 10:1, which is a little much. So we're going to be reducing this to 1. And we're going to be placing this front view around here somewhere. All right, so I made a mistake here. I don't want this view. So I'm going to delete it. I'm going to drag this up here. All right, so this is we're going to be making third angle projection for cylindrical objects. So I want the view that looks at the end of the cylindrical part to be on the left. I want the length to be shown on the right in all of these cases, right? So this has to do with third angle projection. So if we were to go to the internet for a second, I don't like Internet Explorer, but you know what? It's available. So I'm going to be putting in symbol for third angle projection. So third angle projection, this is the symbol that we use in Canada, right? So this is in North America. So we're using this as a reference, right? The same type of thing. So the diameter view on the left and the length view on the right. So we're going to right-click, Create View, Projected. We're going to place that right side view here. All right, so we've done that. Next, we're going to go to Open, and we can select our shaft here. Base view. Again, I don't want that. I don't want a 10:1 scale. So we're going to select this as 1:1. We're going to hit OK. So we're going to drag this one up. We want it to be, you know, generally in line with the bushing as best as we can. This isn't really associated with this view, so it can't project. But this is I want the appearance that's going to give me the most information. So I want to actually be able to see the rib here. So I don't want it to be, if I double click this, I don't want it to be like this, where that shows everything in hidden detail, right? I want the information, I want to see as much as I can in object view. So double click this, rotate it back to this view. All right, so now we're going to right click, we're going to go create view projected, and we're going to project that just like this. Next up, we've got the post. So we're going to go File, Open, select the post, Open. All right. Back to our drawing file, base view, adjust the scale back to 1. Take this and drag it up to here and right click and create our view. Now, I'm not totally satisfied with this, right? So basically, again, I'm looking to see the most information on this front view. So I'm actually going to be, I want this to be facing the same orientation as the shaft, so I need to rotate the parent view. So I'm going to flip it like this and like this. This is going to give me more object view detail. It's going to show me the chamfer mark. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to automatically reorient this view for me. So that way I'm only seeing this diameter here in hidden detail and the peened diameter that peens into the bracket. All right, so there's all my cylindrical parts. And I can move these around and change their orientation. If I won't change their orientation, but I can kind of move them up and down at the end, and I may need to just change their position, right? Because we're still kind of roughing out where we're going to be fitting all these pieces plus our labels. So we also have to show the bracket, and we have to show the wheel. So I think for the assembly, I'm actually going to move this down to here. And there's a method to my madness as well. All right, so we're going to open up the bracket now. Open, switch back to the caster, set the base view. This one, it wants to bring it in at a scale of 1 to 1. So we're going to start, it recognizes this as the front view, although I like to think of it as the right side view. I'd like to flip that. Let's just change the orientation. What we're going to call the right side the front view in our drawing, and we're going to hit OK. We're going to move this to about here. Then we're going to right click. We're going to create the view for the right side. And right click, left click, projected, left click, right click, left click, create. So we're doing our general top front right side view of our bracket. We'll go into this position. And then lastly, we need to show the wheel by itself. So this is going to be open. One last time. Wheel, open. Switch back to the caster. And we're going to go base view. Again, I don't want to start with this view. I want to turn this. I want to get the same view I started with when I did the assembly. And we're going to hit OK. So it makes sense. We'll try to put the wheel kind of on top of the assembly like this. And then we're going to do the same thing we did with the assembly. We're going to do a sectional view of the wheel by itself. So we're going to click to annotate, find the center mark annotation, select the greatest diameter, switch back to place views, grab section view. Here's a little review of section view. So click into the view to activate the section feature, and don't click, but just touch and snap to this. Don't snap to it, but just touch this top quadrant and then lift your mouse, come off of the wheel. So this dotted line means that I'm right exactly on the quadrant on the center line. I'm going to left click and I'm going to come down to a similar location on the opposite side at the bottom. Left click, left click, continue, and we're going to pull off the section view just like that. Right? So this is the original section, section AA for the assembly, and this is going to be section BB for the wheel by itself. So what we need to do now is add some centerline annotations as well as possibly some other detail views that we're going to need. So we're going to go up to here, go to annotate, hit center mark. So we're going to hit right here, add a center mark here and here at the greatest diameters. Now we're going to do a bisector center line from this line to this line. And for this one here, I wouldn't do that. I would use the actual center line tool, click this endpoint and snap to this endpoint. Right click, left click, create, and then do the same thing for the post. So click here and here. Right click, left click, create. Looking at the bracket, we're going to create a center mark here. And we're also going to run a center line going from one hole to the next for the shaft. So we're going to select the center line, and we can't pick it up like this. So we're going to have to use a bisector. So we're going to pick like that. What we're going to do is just drag it and kind of drop it into a similar location where we started with on this side to show that these two holes are directly in line with one another. We can do a bisector center line here for this hole. And we also need to do the same thing. We're going to use a center mark. We need to identify this hole with a center mark. We also need to use a bisector center line for this view of the hidden hole. And we can also use a bisector here. Cancel that and drag this to the other side, like that. Okay, before we close off for today, we're going to do something new with this drawing, something that we never did in Inventor in grade 11. Because this can be a bit of a difficult part to model, not model, but dimension everything. This is so small. Like these parts are small, and this has a lot of detail in a very confined amount of space. So what we're going to do is create a detail view of a couple of items, right? So we're going to go to place views, create detail, and Inventor wants you to pick a place to start. So we're going to be drawing a detail view around this. So I'm going to click somewhere around here and draw a circle around this like this. It says it doesn't like the model edges. Okay. Let's try this again. Detail. Okay, so we want something like this, and we're going to put it over here. And this scales it up at about 2-to-1 scale. So this makes it a little larger, and we're going to be able to possibly split our dimensions up to be a little easier to understand. And to be able to dimension this keyway properly, we're also going to have to create a sectional view in the bracket here, because I can't run a dimension to this, because this, in this view orientation, the key that the rib fits into is hidden from my view, hence the hidden lines, because it only exists on one side of the bracket. So we're going to make another sectional view here. We're going to click in, like this. And we're going to create another section here. And this is going to allow me to be able to dimension that key legit. Right? So we got detail C, section D, right? These things just ascend up into the alphabet. And it would be nice, because there's a lot going on here, to create another detail view in the assembly. Dare we? Detail. We just want something like this. We're going to drop it about here. And this is going to, give me a better look. So we're creating a detail view of all of the pieces assembled with the retaining ring here. And then this can have a little bisector center line here. And then we'll just drag it a bit out like that. Okay, so now we've got everything set up and ready for dimensioning. So I'm going to end the video here. I'd like you to work on this today. Create your detail view layout with all your section and detail views. And we will talk soon. Take care and have a great day.